What if the biggest problem for the Atlanta Dream wasn't Indiana's defense, Caitlin Clark, or even the pressure of overtime? What if the problem was already sitting inside Atlanta's own offense, and their head coach finally admitted it after the game? Angel Reese's most controversial moment came with the game tied at 81, just 6.6 seconds left in regulation. Atlanta had one final chance to win. Ryan Howard launched a three that missed everything, but Reese secured the offensive rebound. The opportunity was right there. One clean finish could have made her the hero. Instead, the point-blank layup bounced off the backboard and rimmed out. Atlanta got another desperate attempt before the buzzer, but that missed too. 3 chances on 1 possession. 0 points. The Dream had just watched a potential win disappear. And that miss became even more painful because the game went to overtime. Indiana immediately looked more composed. Caitlin Clark took control, finishing with 26 points and 9 assists while playing a season-high 41 minutes. But the bigger story wasn't simply Clark scoring. It was how she kept involving everyone around her. Mikayla Timpson became one of the unexpected stars. She scored 20 points, including 6 in overtime, repeatedly finding openings created by Clark's playmaking. Kelsey Mitchell also delivered 20 points, extending her streak to 19 consecutive games with at least 20. Atlanta, meanwhile, struggled to generate the same kind of rhythm. The Dream had relied heavily on isolation basketball, and Indiana eventually found the perfect answer: zone defense. Once Indiana changed its defensive approach, Atlanta's offense became stagnant. Players stopped moving. The ball stayed in one person's hands too long. Instead of attacking the defense together, the Dream appeared to wait for someone to create something individually. And after the game, Atlanta head coach Karl Smesko explained exactly what went wrong. His comments are what turned this from another overtime loss into a much bigger story. When asked about the final possession of regulation, Smesko pointed to a missed screen in the play. His explanation suggested that the execution broke down at the worst possible moment. But he didn't stop there. He admitted that Atlanta had practiced against the zone and had actually handled it well during preparation. Yet when the pressure arrived, the team abandoned what it normally does against that defense. Instead, according to Smesko, the players started standing around and watching one person with the ball. That statement matters, because even without directly naming Angel Reese, it raises questions about the role she plays when Atlanta's offense becomes stagnant. Reese is an important part of this team. Her rebounding and physical presence are undeniable. She can change possessions simply by battling for offensive boards and creating second chances. But that same aggressive style can become a problem when the offense needs patience, movement, and precise execution. And against Indiana, those problems became impossible to ignore. Reese had multiple opportunities around the basket, but struggled to convert. She also found herself repeatedly challenged by Indiana's defense, with Aaliyah Boston playing a major role in disrupting her rhythm. Boston finished with 5 steals and 3 blocks, and there were stretches where Reese simply couldn't get comfortable offensively. That's why the missed layup became more than just one bad shot. It represented everything Atlanta struggled with late in the game. The Dream had the chance to win in regulation. They couldn't finish. Then they had overtime. And Indiana took advantage. With Atlanta cutting the deficit to 93-91, Caitlin Clark stepped to the free throw line with just 10.8 seconds remaining. She calmly knocked down both shots, pushing Indiana's advantage back to 4. Then she grabbed a rebound on the next possession and sent the ball down the floor to burn valuable time. No panic. No unnecessary heroics, just control. That's the difference between a team that is reacting and a team that understands exactly what the situation demands. Indiana's victory also highlighted something bigger about Clark's current form. She didn't need to score every basket herself. She trusted Timpson. She trusted Mitchell. She trusted her teammates to finish the opportunities she created. That trust produced 9 assists, and those assists were arguably more important than the 26 points. Meanwhile, Atlanta's offense looked increasingly dependent on individual creation. That contrast may be the most important takeaway from the entire game. Clark was making the players around her better. Atlanta was struggling to make its offense work together. And then there was the rivalry. When the cameras caught Clark walking behind Reese after the missed layup, the moment immediately exploded across social media. Clark appeared to smile as she passed, and fans instantly interpreted the reaction in completely different ways. Some saw it as disrespect. Others saw it as nothing more than a reaction to an intense game. But because Clark and Reese have years of history dating back to college, even the smallest moment between them becomes headline material. Their rivalry never really disappeared when they entered the WNBA. Every confrontation gets magnified. Every mistake becomes a clip. Every reaction becomes a debate. And this game gave fans another moment to argue about. The physicality also added fuel to the story. The game featured several controversial moments involving Reese, including contact with Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston that sparked discussion among fans about whether more fouls should have been called. Still, the biggest issue for Atlanta wasn't the officials. It was execution. The Dream had opportunities. They simply couldn't finish them. Alicia Gray did everything she could, scoring 34 points and keeping Atlanta alive. But one player cannot carry an entire offense against a disciplined team forever. Indiana eventually exposed the difference. Their offense moved. Their players trusted one another. Their defense adjusted. And when the game reached its most important moments, they stayed composed. The victory gave Indiana its fourth straight win, an important result with playoff positioning and home court advantage still on the line. And suddenly, the Fever look much more dangerous than they did earlier in the season. Imagine this team entering the playoffs with Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and the rest of the roster fully clicking. That is a scary thought for the rest of the league. For Atlanta, however, this loss creates a different question. Was the problem simply one missed layup? Or did that missed layup expose deeper problems that had been hiding inside the offense? Coach Smesko's comments suggest the latter. He acknowledged that old habits returned at exactly the wrong time. Atlanta stopped moving. Players watched one person with the ball. The offense became predictable. And when that happens against a team as disciplined as Indiana, the margin for error disappears. Angel Reese will undoubtedly have better games. She will continue to rebound, battle, and create second chances. But if Atlanta wants to make a serious playoff run, the team needs more than individual effort. It needs movement. It needs trust. And most importantly, it needs to execute when the game is on the line. Because against Indiana, Atlanta had the win in its hands. One possession could have changed everything. Instead, the Dream went to overtime. Indiana took control, and the conversation afterward became much bigger than the final score. So now the question is simple. Was this just one painful loss for Atlanta, or did it expose a problem the Dream can't afford to ignore? And do you think Atlanta regrets making the move for Angel Reese? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want more of the biggest WNBA stories, subscribe and turn on notifications, because this season is only getting more intense.